Good morning, beloved saints. The daily doses will be a little shorter, more concise. Just, like this to check in with you because I'm taking more time to work on the longer videos. They'll be more concise. They'll actually written script wise so that I stick to it because being sick lately, these last few months, not being able to keep stuff down, I can't keep a lot of my meds down. And so I can't think very clearly. So I'm trying to relay this information in a way that a confused mind wouldn't get lost because I got a scattered stuff in there and I can follow it, but nobody else can. So I'll be taking extra time to do it, but the videos will be better. They'll just take me a little longer and I need other resources for it. But it should be good. I've got enough old content just to answer simple questions. I need to go through and clean up some of that because my views have changed in 10 years. I sure hope so. Sure hope I'm growing and learning and changing what I find my positions were wrong or what I believe was wrong. So I hear this a lot. They're like, well, God let this bear kill these kids, or God allowed that person to cut up his wife and send it to God did this, or God condones it, right? People got to realize scripture is a collection. There's tons of stories of true events that happen to real people, flaws and all. Okay. So God tells us our apostles and prophets, they are flawed men, just like us. And he doesn't hide the ugly. We see all the sinful, horrible, selfish, nasty stuff our, forefathers did because they're human like us. And I love that he keeps it there. But that doesn't mean, because it's in the scripture and it happened, that God condones the behavior at all. Okay, that is because it's recorded history. God thinks it's okay? No. So we've got to stop confusing it. And this is usually people that are mad at God because they don't really understand, right? They think it's just a bunch of rules and laws about being good and bad and not understanding they're dead and they need immortality. No other religion, not going to work because it's not religion. The only one that died and came back from that death said he'd do it and did it. And one event, 500 people at once were eyewitnesses. The reason they couldn't stop Christianity from growing is because so many people saw him risen in those 40 days after his resurrection. They couldn't hide it. 500 people at once he preached to one day. And those eyewitnesses were still alive during the time the letter was written. So the thing is, all of it, all the Old Testament, the law and the prophets, they all point to Jesus. This is why on the Mount of Transfiguration, Moses and Elijah, Peter's trying to put them on equal ground. Hey, I can build a tabernacle. It's a Feast of Tabernacles. I'll build a huppah for you and a huppah for you and a huppah. Nope. This is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased. Hear him. Moses, Elijah, they're just pointing to him. They are witnesses pointing to Christ. So we can see it's all about him. But just because there's a true story and people have done things, it doesn't mean God is approving of their decisions or their behavior. Does that mean God approved of Lot saying, here, rape my daughters, do what you want, but just don't rape my guests? Do you think that was? No. No. But it shows how desperate he was to not have them do that wicked thing to his house guest. But it's horrible because you see in another place, somebody tries to offer their daughters when the other woman is raped to death. And her husband, who's horrible to her, lets her die and then chops her up and sends her to all 12 tribes because he's upset about the injustice. Well, should have opened the door and let her in the house instead of letting her be killed. But that's okay. You ain't got to prove it? No. Did it happen? Yes. It's recorded so we can see it. We need to see the depravity of we come from paradise to complete slaughter so bad there was nothing but evil in men's hearts continually. There was no like, what can I do selfless? How do I help? No, it's carnage, rape, murder, taking what you want. It was so sick. So sick. If you could read some of this, and if they knew what these nations were doing, And it's funny because they'll go, why doesn't God do anything about that evil? Well, he does, because he foreknows what's going to happen, and he wipes out people that were going to come back and be a thorn in Israel's side. And when they don't listen, a remnant always comes back and causes more problems. You got to remember God's goal. We need to be redeemed. So it's all about humanity being restored immortality, which was, we became mortal at the fall. That's got to be restored. We have to put on immortality. We lose this body, it goes to the ground, sin's condoned in the flesh, but we get a new one. So I hope you guys, when you hear that next time, somebody's like, well, God allowed that, why do you? Well, okay, because you're so perfect, you get to judge God. He knew what was going to happen, and I trust him, and we can trust his character. He's good, and he's showing over and over again. I'm not like the gods that don't care about you, that you got to bribe or bargain. You can't even trust that. He's a faithful God that loves us, and not because we're deserving, not because there's anything good in us, but because he is. He is, for his name's sake, for his glory, he keeps us saved. All right, you guys, so when you hear somebody argue that, you could say, it's a record of historical people in all their glorious imperfection to teach us lessons, right? To bring us to the Lord, the schoolmaster, all of it, to bring us to Christ. Not God condoning wickedness. He's exposing it and showing why we needed the Redeemer. We're just here today and gone tomorrow without him. But with Jesus, we know we leave this body, absent from the body, present with the Lord. And one day we'll see him face to face. How wonderful. All right, so hopefully you got an argument for that next time I drives you crazy with that argument. All right, guys. Bye-bye. God bless.